Shalom and welcome back to Aliyah and Chill, the only podcast that answers the big Jewish questions like, should I bring my blender? Can I survive without Costco? And today's gem, is it too late to marry an Israeli for the passport? Spoiler alert, yes. But also, no. But mostly, yes. I'm Moshe, your emotionally available but not legally binding host, and today we're diving into the dream, the myth, the rom-com fantasy of skipping the bureaucracy and just falling in love with a sabra who makes amazing shakshuka and knows someone at Misrad Hapnim. Let's be real. We've all had that moment. You're 47 tabs deep on the Nefesh B'Nefesh website. You're knee-deep in apostilles and police background checks. And your brain whispers, what if I just married an Israeli and skipped this whole thing? I mean, it worked for Bar Rafeli's husband, right? Or Gal Gadot's husband, or every person in a Hallmark Hanukkah movie filmed in Canada pretending to be Jerusalem. Here's how the fantasy goes. You're in Israel on a pilot trip. You meet someone cute in a café in Tel Aviv. They're gorgeous, tan, fluent in Hebrew, and somehow not sweating in 38-degree heat. You make eye contact while reaching for the same bottle of harbrasha tehina. They smile. You smile. Boom. Aliyah approved. No Jewish agency, no paperwork, just a sunset wedding in a vineyard, a honeymoon in the Golan, and dual citizenship by the time the dessert tray comes out. But let me bring you back to reality. Here's what actually happens when you marry an Israeli for the passport. You still need to go to Misrad Hapnim. You still need to prove it's a real relationship. You will still be interviewed, possibly separately, and asked questions like, what side of the bed does your spouse sleep on? What color is their toothbrush? How many sugars do they take in their coffee? If you get it wrong, they don't say mazal tov. They say, come back in 6 months for another interview. It's less romantic comedy and more documentary titled Love and Bureaucracy, The Immigration Files. Now, I'm not knocking love. Love is beautiful. Love is holy. Love is not, however, a replacement for documentation. If you are genuinely in love with an Israeli citizen, amazing. That's great. Just know that the passport is the least romantic part of that journey. Also, it takes time. You don't get automatic citizenship the moment you say, Ani ohev otach, and sign the ketubah. You usually go through a multi-year process of proving the relationship is real, stable, and ongoing. There are interviews, affidavits, shared lease agreements, joint bank accounts, and photo albums. Yes, actual photo albums, preferably with matching outfits and Shabbat candles somewhere in the background. And even after all that, it might still take 3 years or more to get a permanent residency, and even longer for a full Israeli passport. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'll just marry someone for the document, let me save you some time. You'd have an easier time getting citizenship by becoming a professional soccer player for Maccabi Haifa. But let's say you're serious. Let's say you are in love. You met your person. It's real. You're planning a life together. What then? That's where Easy Aliyah comes in. No, they won't swipe right for you. They won't set you up with a charming Israeli lawyer/soldier/soulmate, but they will walk you through exactly what marrying an Israeli means legally. They'll help you understand the timelines, the paperwork, the types of visas, and how to not end up sobbing in a municipal office because you forgot to bring a utility bill in both names. I spoke to someone last week who married an Israeli, moved in with him in Netanya, and said, I thought love was enough. It wasn't. They missed 2 documents, had to redo their entire application, and almost got deported during Pesach. Don't let your love story end with border control. Easy Aliyah offers relationship-based immigration help that's realistic, honest, and super non-judgmental. Whether you're married, planning to marry, or thinking about dating someone who once visited Israel, they'll explain your options. Here's a quick breakdown. If you're legally married to an Israeli citizen, you may qualify for a long-term visa leading to permanent residency and eventually citizenship. It's not automatic. It takes time. You'll need documentation and interviews. If you're living together but not married, you might be able to apply under the common law category, also known as a domestic partnership, but it's a longer process. If you're engaged or planning to move in, there may be steps you can take now to prepare, especially with notarized statements, photos, and letters from family and friends. If you're single and just wishfully thinking about marrying an Israeli, go outside, drink water, and call Easy Aliyah. We need to talk. Listen, love is never a guarantee, but good legal advice that you can count on. And even if this episode just convinced you not to marry an Israeli for the passport, great. You're now ready to make Aliyah the honest, independent, and legally sound way, with a suitcase full of hope and a folder full of translated documents, because nothing says romance quite like a certified apostille. Before we wrap up, here's a real listener question. Adam, my boyfriend is Israeli. We are serious but not married. Can I move to Israel and stay with him? Answer: yes, but only under a temporary visa while you apply for legal recognition of the relationship. And trust me, you want someone guiding you through that process who speaks Hebrew and printer. Easy Aliyah will help you figure it out step by step so you can focus on building your relationship, not battling bureaucracy. That's all for today's episode of Aliyah and Chill. Next week, Ulpan dreams and Hebrew nightmares. You think you speak Hebrew? Until the cashier starts talking at Mach 3 speed. I'm Moshe. Stay legal, stay hopeful, and remember, love is grand. But Easy Aliyah is paperwork you can trust. Litrao.